What's going on, everybody? This is Steve from Bloom Audio, and today we're going to talk about the HEDD1. Now, my first experience with HEDD audio was about 5 years ago when we first got our hands on the original HEDDphone. That's, HEDD phone, in case that sounds confusing since the first headphone is way older than 5 years old. Anyway, previously, HEDD audio had primarily made studio monitors, reference speakers, with their signature piece being the air motion transformer drivers that they used for the tweeter. The original headphone took that air motion transformer, turned it into a headphone driver. Now, while there were some issues with the design, comfort, and other things, the headphone sounded amazing, incredible resolution, detail, very much this awesome reference headphone. Since then, with the release of the HEDDphone 2 and HEDDphone 2 GT, they've combated some of those comfort and design elements and really made some great improvements there. Now, the HEDD1 comes in as their first dynamic driver headphone. Now, with the HEDD1 being a dynamic driver headphone, question is, can HEDD audio recapture some of that same magic in their AMT driver headphones? And is this going to continue that sort of legacy they're trying to build of connecting audiophile and reference pro audio sound in a single headphone? To answer that, we'll take a look at D1, ask what is it, who is it for, and should you buy it? As we mentioned at the top, D1 is a dynamic driver headphone. It's an open back, and there's definitely some elements of the design that fit in with the larger sort of studio and audiophile type headphones that you've seen out there. But it still kind of does maintain its own unique look. This thing is crazy comfortable. It has one of the biggest adjustment ranges that I've seen on a headphone, which is kind of funny because the original headphone had, not very much adjustment, and they had to release a revision with a longer headband. They're not going to do that here. D1 extends all the way down to like your neck if you need it to, for whatever reason, or you just have a big head. So that's really big here. The comfort is also great. In terms of the specs, D1 uses a 50 millimeter thin ply carbon diaphragm dynamic driver, comes in at $799. The impedance on that is 32 ohms, and the sensitivity is 100 dB per milliwatt. This is a really sensitive headphone. You can drive it on just about anything. I did notice a good degree of scaling effect when I plugged it into some higher end gear. But in general, this is going to sound great whether you have it plugged into your Apple dongle, your laptop, your recording interface, or your $3,000 tube headphone amp. The connectors here are the 3.5 millimeter TRS. So, very standard. Going to be able to swap this out with any number of cables. The included cable is pretty nice with a 3.5 millimeter termination and the screw-on 6.3 millimeter adapter. In terms of the sound, this is a super clean reference headphone. You can look at the graph here, very adherent to a reference neutral target, very flat from the mid-range through the bass, just basically that ear gain, pinna compensation in the upper mids and treble. Similar to like a diffuse field style tuning here, not a lot of extra coloration or anything added in here. Doesn't have that sort of extra bit of treble bump that some brands like Hi-Fi Man like to do, or that little bit of extra warmth that you might find in like a Meze headphone. So we've got something that is crazy comfortable, very much of a reference tuning. Is this for audiophiles? Is this really just a studio headphone? Who is this for exactly? D1 definitely leads with that very studio sort of feel to it. These are going to be awesome as a studio monitor for mixing and other things because of the accuracy and also the technical capabilities of the driver here. You're going to get very clean, fast transients. Nothing feels like you're getting smearing or anything else like that. This is excellent performance from the dynamic driver that they've gotten out of this. But I still do see some audiophile appeal in here as well. I think on the one hand, a lot of guys are just looking for the clean reference set of headphones that doesn't have any color to it. They want to enjoy. Their goal is to hear the studio sound essentially. And if that's what you're looking for, D1 delivers that. If you want something that's also going to show you the characteristics of the gear over the characteristics of the headphone, this is a great pick here too. You're going to hear that difference between tube and solid state, between an R2R DAC and a chip DAC. It's going to bring those differences in the gear very forward because the headphone itself doesn't have its own color to it to a large degree. And I think the third place is with equalization. This headphone is awesome to EQ. Throw on a nice bass shelf. It's gonna slam hard and the bass stays clean. It's clean, textured, detailed low end with just a ton of impact. Or, maybe you wanna spice things up top. Again, it's gonna sound great. You might, blow out the upper end of your hearing, but you're not gonna blow out these headphones. Obviously, you probably could if you tried really hard. But in general, you can throw a ton of EQ on this. Stays very clean and sounds great. So this could also be essentially a platform. That lack of color, reference tuning, could become a platform for whatever you want to turn it into. That's not to say that aspects of this headphone aren't great as it is for pure listening. The soundstage is pretty wide, not exceptional, because it's lacking some of those coloration aspects that can make that soundstage really expansive. It's a large three-dimensional soundstage, very crisp, clean imaging and separation. It's an all-around great sounding, great performing headphone that again is great as it is. Great if you're in this crossover case like I am sometimes. I want something to listen to music on and also something to use as a live monitor. It can do both those things well or be that platform for building your own sound on it. So, is this the one? Should you buy it? So D1 comes in at $799, which puts it in competition with a lot of great headphones from that sort of space in the hi-fi man range between the Ananda and the Aria to one of our favorites, the Meze 109 Pro. There's just a lot going on in that $1,000 range, Audeze LCD2, or even reaching up a little bit to the Audeze LCD-X. There's another headphone a little bit below that price range that I think fans of the HD650 from Sennheiser that are looking for an upgrade might also want to check out the D1. So as my two comparison points, I brought in the Meze 109 Pro and the Sennheiser HD650. Now, comparing this with the 650, I do feel some inspiration from the 650 here in that sort of dynamic driver, reference tuning, design. The big things here are D1 takes away a little bit of the veil that 650 can have at the top. And also it does kind of even out a little bit of the warmth while also fixing the sub bass roll off in the HD650. So, the HD650, you get a little bit of extra low mid, mid bass possibly with a roll off into the sub bass. D1 gives you a more straight through linear bass in there while having a less veiled feeling and just feeling more technically strong in the separation and imaging. So if you're looking as an HD650 user at what's kind of the next step up that's going to give me an improvement in performance and accuracy, D1 basically does that. It's also way more comfortable. The 650 is a cool headphone. It's I do appreciate the stability on your head if you're wearing it while you're playing, moving around, that sort of thing. D1 is way more comfortable and also very stable. 109 Pro is a more interesting comparison because that has a little bit of coloration to it while maintaining more of a reference sound. So listening to the D1 compared to the 109 Pro, at times D1 can sound a little bit dry. It's missing a little bit of warmth. It's missing a little bit of that upper end sort of sparkle that 109 Pro adds in as well. Now, I can find elements of the 109 Pro to be a little bit fatiguing, especially some of the little extra push up top. But at the same time, I appreciate some of the added texture and color it provides without going overboard there. So D1 hits you with a more accurate sound. It's cleaner, it's more spacious, and it's, again, a little bit more detailed, technical there. While 109 Pro has that coloration, but it's very tastefully done to the point that without that direct comparison like the D1, it does sound pretty much like a reference headphone. So between the two here, it's largely going to come down to, do you like the meze style? It's also a very comfortable headphone. The wood cups, it looks more ornate. Or do you want something that's a little bit more sleek, workman-like design, black grills, all of that. Which one of that is going to give you a stronger aesthetic appeal? And what are you looking for in the sound? Do you want a little bit of color? Do you want to keep it flat and a little bit tighter and technically stronger there? Personally, I'm a guy who prefers warmer tunings, a little bit of extra bass and all of that. But I really enjoyed spending time with the D1 because one, it is great to take a step back from bass head stuff and all of that to hear a really clear, accurate picture of the music with nothing really added or taken away from it. D1 definitely provides you with that. Two, I had a ton of fun EQing it. I threw some different bass shelves on it to different degrees, tried to warm it up a little bit, tried to tweak the curve to match the 109 Pro and see how that handled it. And it was just a lot of fun to have in that sandbox. Now, I didn't get to test it out in like a live sound scenario, but I expect it's going to do really well there as well. So this is a great all-around headphone, very competitive in the $800 range. Very much, I think, the upgrade that some people are really going to love coming up from something like the HEDD650. It's an all-around awesome headphone. Again, if you want that tilt to be more towards the reference neutral side with your headphone, D1 is, I think, king of this $800 price point right now. Thanks for watching. You can check out the HEDD1 and a lot of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more high fidelity audio content.